Hey everybody, this is Jim. Thanks for checking this out. Last weekend, an unofficial port of Super Mario Bros. Was released for the Commodore 64. Caused a lot of people to get their old equipment out and play some games. It's been a lot of fun to watch people get really excited about this. So as I played this game, it was really a lot of fun, but it really made me want to use the Nintendo style controller. I even got my old Game Boy out with the one cartridge I had, Super Mario Land. Man, that screen is hard to read, but I checked out the old controls and the way Nintendo controls games, and I really wanted to play this game on the C64 with those types of controls. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. Now, there were previous games on the C64. Last year, Sam's Journey came out. Awesome game. But it felt like a new game, and so I was okay with using the joystick with it. With Mario Brothers, it feels just like the game I played at my buddy's house, and it really calls for that controller. Let me show you what I ordered here, and we'll get into the project. So this controller is offered on Amazon, and amazingly enough, it has a 9-pin plug on the end. So perhaps it will plug in and work on a Commodore 64. Maybe I have to rewire it a little bit. And it does say, according to human body engineering, design of the relax buttons, more in line with the human touch feel, help you play more arbitrary, which is exactly what I wanted. So obviously this is a cheap controller out of China, but that's okay. I want to see if I can rewire it and use it with the Commodore 64. It does have 4 buttons here instead of the normal Nintendo 2 buttons. So I'll have to think about how I wire these buttons and whether we do anything with the select and start. Now, one thing I do know is I was at Midwest Gaming Classic last weekend, and they had a bin of these Nintendo guns. I don't own a NES, but they had a bin of these for $4, so I bought one for $4. I was going to see if I could hack it into a C64. But they do have this funny connector for a Nintendo, and it actually has like a shift register that spits out the data 1 bit at a time, which is not how the C64 works. So I don't know if this controller here is going to use the shift register paradigm or be more like switch closures like we're used to. So let's see. So get this out of the way. Here's the package I got from Amazon. Let's open this up. All right. Very compact thing here. Let me get a knife. All right, that looks like a Nintendo type controller if I've ever seen one. So I think this is really made for some emulating game system that you can buy out of China, and it uses this 9-pin D-sub instead of the normal Nintendo connector. So we shall see. Okay, so yeah, we got a normal 9-pin. I see some connections in there, but not every location, so that might be a problem. Just worried about that. Okay, here it is. Okay, the buttons feel fine. The number pad's a little stiffer than I would think I remember Nintendo being. Let's see. Yeah, so it's definitely stiffer, but not a bad feel. So that will work. Okay, here's something I looked up earlier and I wanted to show you guys. This is on Individual Computer's website, Joystick Summary. It's a really good summary. And it goes through all these different systems and how the 9-pin connectors are hooked up for these different systems. Obviously, we're here with the VIC-20, C64, up, down, left, right, button 1 is all common. What they do talk about here is button 3 and button 2, which are also pot X and pot Y. So let's see, asterisk 3, if you come down here, it says, for the second button, right mouse, the pot X line is used, and the third button, middle mouse, pot Y, which, different to the other lines, must be pulled to VCC via the button. With the rest of these, up, down, left, right, and fire, those get connected to ground. If we want to use the pot X and pot Y as buttons 2 and 3, we have to connect those to VCC. So what do we want to do here? Why don't we kind of test the output first and see if we can figure out what this thing is outputting, because I really have no idea. So I got my super duper non-fancy multimeter here. Let's put it on the okay, what do we say, pin 1? Nothing. Let's check our schematic again. Pin 8 and pin 1 should be up. Uh-oh. Maybe this is not a switch closure system like we hoped. Okay, at this point I think we should just open it up and see what's going on the inside. So let's get rid of this for now. And small Phillips head screwdriver. In here we have a teeny tiny circuit board with some kind of chip on there, glop topped. How many wires do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 wires, which is unfortunate. This little rubber pad with our key arrangement above it. So there's not much to this thing here. So I think we're going to have to hack this thing up, perhaps use a different wire for the pinout to really get this to work. Okay, before I go any further, I want to figure out this connector situation. So this is my bad drawing of a connector, sorry. So for the C64, we definitely want 1, 2, 3, 4. The button is 6. And then ground is 8. 7 is VCC. 5 and 9 are the pot X and Y. Let's see, in here we have nothing. Pin, 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 nothing, nothing, pin, nothing, pin. So we have 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8, I think. But not 0, no, I mean not 1, not 5, 9, or 7. So there's no way for this cable to do an up jump. I guess our other option is if we didn't use up to jump, we would need to use, I think it's pot X, that you can also configure Super Mario Brothers on the C64 to use. There's no pins there either. So either way, we're out of luck. We don't have a pin here for up, and we don't have any pins there for pot X and pot Y buttons 2 and 3. And no pin for VCC, which we would need for these two also. So we're going to have to replace this. All right, I found it. Here's my box of broken joysticks, and this was on top. So let's see look what we have here. Let's see. Ooh, we have a pretty gnarly Atari with some duct tape on it. That might be a good candidate. This Wicco, I think maybe someday I could fix that. So I'm going to pass on scavenge it. My gosh, I didn't know I had so many Atari-style joysticks. I mean, look at this guy. I should probably just steal one of these connectors. Has official Atari logo on it too. That'd be pretty ironic, funny. Let's steal one of these Atari guys. Let's take this one apart and see if this is a candidate. All right, got it. So let's see, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires. So they did not bring all 9 wires through. All right, I've been thinking about this, and I think I'm going to use this 9-pin serial cable for the pinout on this. I'll have all 9 pins on the cable. I can do exactly what I want to with this controller instead of just living with the 6 pins. All right, I think I'm just going to cut this in half so I can use it for 2 different of these projects. See if this little clipper, yep, no problem. Okay, just going to strip this outer sheathing, outer cable harness. Trying to be very careful not to cut those wires underneath. I need all this length I can get. There we go. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus a ground or a shield or whatever. I don't think we'll use that. All right, so if we're going to use all these, let's strip them all. All right, got them stripped. Okay, now we got to kind of figure out the pin out of this connector. Let's see, ground is pin 8, and at the cable, pin 8 is this one. So who wants to think that it might be black? Let's see. Nope. Why would that make sense? It's this gray is pin 8 is ground. Gray is ground. So let's write that down. Gray equals ground. Pin 8. All right, let's go through and find all these. Okay, like it always happens to me in the middle of a project, I start questioning what I'm doing. I had determined what I was going to do with the mapping of the keys, but I started thinking about this Super Mario Brother port again. They do support a 2-button arrangement using the pot X line. Or I could just map the up button for the jump. But I started thinking about that and thinking about the way Super Mario Brothers works in real life. They have the up arrow. They have a question mark in the instruction manual. And I looked into this further. And here I see that up direction is using for climbing and for entering doors. So I think I want to preserve that up direction on the joystick, the numpad, the thumb pad, to be most authentic. And so I'll just leave that as up on the pad, and I'll map this to pot X. So let's see, I think what I'll do here is I'll have the 4 directions, fire, and pot X. I'll use these 2 key arrangements for Super Mario Brothers, and then for a more normal game, I'll use fire and up here. And what I was thinking about doing here is putting a switch in between these 2, so that I can actually turn off that up direction when I'd want to, and only have up on the button. Okay, I think I decided to use this switch. I could mount it on the outside, but I'm going to mount it on the inside and just cut a slot for the switch so it doesn't stick through so much. It'll still stick through quite a bit. That'll be, I think, mounting in this area. So I'll just mark approximately where I need to cut this out. This is my wood chisel, but I think this will work for this application. Let's see. I don't want to go too far and have this thing crack on me. See, I need to get that little chunk off. Get another wood chisel. Not bad. Alright, that's nice and loose. That's what we want. Now when that's mounted in there, it's got plenty of room to move. Good. Alright, my quest to do this cheaply, I found 3 epoxies I had. A bumper repair kit, Gorilla Epoxy, and this plastic bonder. So I'm going to try to glue that switch in here. I'm going to try this first and see if any of this is left. Yeah, there is. Good. I had good results using this before. Okay, I'll mix this up. Let's get a little bit on the front of this switch. Make sure that's centered in that slot. And then I'm just gonna put it on thick on the sides. I'll just use this. Work that in there. That is not going to come out of there in the end. Okay, the epoxy's set overnight. Let's look at it. It's ugly on the inside, but seems to hold real well. Let's see if we take our case and put it together. That looks pretty good. All right, I think that'll work well. Okay, first let's see if we can remove these wires quickly. Pull them out one at a time. Oop, there's one. One more. Okay. So this chip in here, I'm just going to leave it there, abandoned in place. We're not going to use that chip. My buddy used to do a lot of engineering for buildings, and they would disconnect the system and just leave it in the walls. They called it abandoned in place. So that's what we're going to do here. I think I need to disconnect all these from the from this die. I don't want like some weird interaction because of that chip there. So let's go through and just cut this board. All right, I don't know if you can see that, but I think we've cut those traces and they're disconnected from that chip on the center. So that's good. So if we look at this again, can we have cables on the front surface and get away with that? So let's look at this. Oh no, Robin's gonna go.
Hi, this is...
Hey, Robin. If I would just route it between here and solder it there, and then the rubber lays on top of it, it's going to create a little bulge between those two keys, but I think the keys will still feel fine. So purple is VCC. So it needs to go down to this pad in the corner, which is going to be our pot X. So it will be pot X connected to VCC. Really want to make sure I don't get 12 volts in any other line. VCC, well, 5 volts, sorry. Okay, it's not beautiful, but it'll work. All right, I moved that back. I didn't want it in the center area to interfere with the rubber pad. All right, I've checked the pin out again for like the 15th time. You have up, down, left, right. These two are not connected. Both these are the fire buttons. That's why you see a blue wire coming to here and going up to there. This is pot X or button 2. And this is up. We've got this brown wire coming here, so that's always up. But we're going to put a wire here through the switch so we can turn this up on and off. So this one will be only activated through the switch. So now I want to clean these pads. I got the solder flux on there when I soldered all my connections on there. So take some alcohol and let's clean this up. Okay, that's probably good enough. All right, let's try to put this thing together kind of. I think I'll try to put a zip tie on here. for strain relief. Okay. Let's see, I probably don't need to, but I'm going to use a little piece of heat shrink tubing on this to cover these solder joints. If I'm embarrassed by my solder joints, it'll cover it up. Okay, put a little solder on the soldering iron. Tin the end of the wire. Tin the switch lead. And see if we can solder this together. All right, that worked well. Do the other wire. I'll add some solder to the switch. I'll turn my heat gun on. All right. I think I'm going to try to use some of this blue tape to hold down these wires as I assemble this. All right, let's try it. Okay, we have the controller all put together. I tested it multiple times electrically on a test. It looks like it's working. So let's plug this in. Let's try this. These keys control the joysticks. So let's start the game. That worked, the fire button. Joystick port 2, mode 2. Right, left. Up is jump. So fire button's jump. That button doesn't do anything. I have it on the wrong mode. Try mode 1. Oh. All right, it works. So we've got left, right. Up actually jumps. This is the fire button. And this Pod X jumps too. Let's see. That's just like when I used to play it with my buddy at my buddy's house. I did not have a NES as a kid. You know what I realized? I'm by habit holding down the first key so that I run. I was not doing that with the joystick because it just wasn't natural. So it works really well. That's great. Okay, I'm going to try the top two keys also. So this is fire, and that's supposed to be mapped to up. And it does work. It does make me jump, and up makes me jump. Whoops. Let's try it with Sam's Journey, see what happens. So I had thought that these two keys would work best with Sam's Journey. Yes, I'm on NTSC, but it kind of works instead of swapping the computers to my pal. So I forgot, I should have played with this switch with the Super Mario Brothers. If I flip this off, there's a problem here. I can't go up in the map. So I think I have to have the up on. Let's start that. It's actually harder to play because I'm so used to using the regular joystick with this game. It definitely works. You can do the swipe and then the jump with the second key. So if you're really used to playing with buttons like this, you could do Sam's Journey this way with fire and up, also connected to that same up. So I spent some more time on this. I actually went and looked at the instructions from Zero Page, the guy who wrote this software. Mode 3 on the joystick is what he called standard mode, and that is expecting the joypad with the two buttons. So now Mario will not jump when I push up, he'll only jump when I push the second key. And then this first key is the speed run and the action key. And I really stink at this game. Got him. Okay, so that's working really well. Okay, thanks for watching this. This project was kind of a fun project. It really makes this Mario port, Super Mario Brothers port, play and feel really like the authentic NES experience I remember from high school. The project was a little harder than I expected, but we got it done and it works really well. I also included that switch, which in hindsight I don't think is really needed, so I would not do that again if I would do this mod again. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.